life below water, sustainable cities and communities, and gender equality. They are among the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that are part of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and were adopted in 2015 by the member states of United Nations. How can the coming decade, which the UN calls the Decade of Action, be used to achieve these SDGs? In this video, we propose a global pathway to reach these goals. Our focal point is food and energy production, activities that are at the core of human survival and welfare, and in which significant change is possible over the next decade. We explore how a combination of ocean food farming, marine biomass production, and landing-based crowdfunding can contribute to achieving healthy oceans, gender equality, and sustainable cities and communities. Let's dive right in.
The current agriculture practices are far from sustainable. They contribute to 20 to 30% of the global greenhouse emissions and use a large amount of fresh water. It also uses a lot of pesticide, which causes health problems for humans and contaminates the environment. Agriculture is also the biggest contributor to biodiversity loss. Currently, most biomass energy is derived from soy, corn, and wheat. The production of these plants require a large amount of land, water and energy, and because of this it competes with the food production. Worldwide investments are currently primarily made through governments, private equity firms and the World Bank. For individuals, assessing high potential investment opportunities is still not always easy, and for many the actual or perceived barrier to entry remain high. We have identified three. The first is ocean food farming. This method of food production can yield a large amount of seafood per hectare and provides new sustainable business opportunities. A non-profit organization called Green Wave has developed a model for ocean food farming that makes use of horizontal ropes across the water surface that connects to below the water surface that support crops, mussels and scallops. This niche has the potential to restore the ecosystem, capture carbon and absorb excess ocean nutrients. The second niche that can positively contribute to achieving the selected SDGs is ocean biomass farming. This method of producing biomass makes use of seaweed as a source of bioenergy for the production of biofuel and biogas. In order to cultivate seaweed on a large scale for biomass production, new technologies and techniques will have to be created. Ocean biomass farming has great potential to make communities more independent with respect to energy supply, to create more energy security and to provide jobs, for example for women. Lastly, equity crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending form the third niche. These new models of finance are used as opposed to, but also in addition to, the World Bank investments, bank loans and private equity funding. Raising funds online may even increase gender equality, as women tend to be more successful at this. Moreover, peer-to-peer lending could get people out of debt. Let's have a look at the challenges that these niche activities are facing and which conditions may enable their development. A large-scale transition from terrestrial to ocean food production requires big investments. Besides investors, governments play a large role as they can shift subsidies from conventional agriculture to ocean-based production. Enabling conditions for ocean food farming are failed harvests that threaten food security, overfishing, and the growing realization of biodiversity loss. Oceans are a shared space, and many areas host wind power parks, fishing areas, and shipping routes. Conflict about the use of these spaces may arise, but some have suggested that different activities could also lead to synergy. This potential issue calls for a good governance approach and sufficient involvement of stakeholders in the process of sea use planning. Enabling conditions for the rise of ocean biomass farming are the increased recognitions of the role that biomass plays in the energy transition. In fact, transition scenarios by the European Commission, Shell, the International Renewable Energy Agency, and the International Energy Agency all include biomass use. With policies and subsidies largely geared towards biomass, its application is on the rise. However, biomass cultivation and its combustion in energy plants are facing widespread opposition from public groups. Growing awareness about the negative effects of biomass as a renewable energy source and increased opposition may further this opposition. The application of crowdfunding may empower female entrepreneurs to start and expand their business. However, social norms and laws may prevent them from making use of crowdfunding and microcredit structures in the first place. This is a major challenge. A positive and potentially enabling development is the increase in the number of people that have access to the internet. Currently, just over half the world has access to the internet, with some regions, like Middle Africa, at only 12%. But internet access is rapidly increasing, especially in fast developing countries. The number of internet users in Africa is up to 20% over the period 2017 to 2018. This, together with the fact that more and more people own phones these days, is an enabling condition for adoption of crowdfunding.
The ocean is likely to play an important role in our future food and biomass production. Seaweed and shellfish have the ability to remove pollutants such as nitrogen from the water. According to the World Bank, if ocean farmers only use 5% of the ocean for growing seaweed, 135 million tons of carbon and 10 million tons of nitrogen could be cleaned up from the ocean. Bren Smith, the founder of non-profit organization Greenwave, believes that his ocean farming model has the ability to stop overfishing in the ocean. The seaweed that is grown can also be used for farmers on land as fertilizer, so that no extra nitrogen is released into the atmosphere. So ocean farming as a dominant niche would significantly lower ocean carbon and nitrogen levels. It would reduce overfishing and create employment opportunities for millions of people. Besides food production, seaweed has great potential to become an important source of biomass in the future. It can grow rapidly without input of fertilizer and has a positive energy return on investment. Moreover, it has the ability to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the ocean and in the atmosphere. A world in which these seeds are dominant would create a more level playing field for individuals and organizations to access the necessary funds to develop. This is where crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending are discussed. It could potentially lift millions out of poverty, while in some cases generating significant financial returns for investors. Besides, the finding that women tend to be more successful at online fundraising may help to reduce gender inequalities that extend beyond businesses.